Should be live now. Or it's connecting. Hello. Okay, now we're live. That was weird. What's up? Let me make sure that I change the title because it's the wrong thing. There we go. What's up? Welcome. Let me get my chat open on my phone so that I can just get into this. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Well, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna start with this. I need my Twitch open. You know, one day when I get headphones working on my PC, when I get Bluetooth working on my PC, we can do some reactions or something. But for now, it's tier lists. Also, next stream I'll review Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I have been listening to that, but I don't feel like I've listened to it quite enough yet to do a review. And I don't really like just making myself talk about something that I can't necessarily review. Hello, Excellent Chawl Games. Hello. Okay, everybody's rolling up right now. I will say though, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I love it. I love it. I'm just not prepared to like do a review or go in depth, but I love it. I found it to be great. I've really enjoyed it so far. So next stream we'll do a review of that. But today we're doing some fun little tier lists. And what is up, everyone? Better than Damn? It's definitely better than Damn, yeah. It's a lot better than Damn too. Damn was like I remember like I listened to Damn when it came out, but there's just so much of it that I didn't dig like at the time. And I think I did a review of that on the channel. I wouldn't want to go back and rewatch it because I probably didn't have anything valuable to say. But you know, it was pretty boring, that album. Like it had like a banger here or there, you know. It did, but like it was pretty boring. It just wasn't very, I don't know. It's hard to get invested in. Have my impressions on Auntie Diaries changed? Not really. I mean, a little bit. Like, not really. Last time I talked about it, I hadn't heard the song yet. I did listen to the song afterwards, before I even heard it in the album. I mean, like for as weird as I feel about it, and as weird as I feel listening to it as well, it actually might be even more uncomfortable listening to it than just reading the lyrics, I found. But that is an incredible song. Like the way the instrumental moves and the way Kendrick's voice, like the way he just the way toward the end of the song he starts building and building his intensity of his words, and like the strings start coming in. Oh my god, that was crazy. But I'll talk about it more later. Anyway, I really enjoyed the album. I like how much variety it has. He's doing a lot of stuff on it. Some of the songs on there would not feel out of place on like your average like radio ready trap song. But then some of the other tracks are like really, really crazy adventurous. And I think he wears just about everything pretty well on it. So that's my review for now. My favorite track for now is United in Grief, I think. Yeah. United in Grief is fucking amazing. There's a lot of amazing tracks. Kodak Killed It. Don't know about that. I'll get into that when I review it, okay? This is just a here's my thoughts right now sort of deal. But we'll review it next time. I also wanted to go and listen to Section 80 and re-listen to some of Kendrick's other stuff, like Good Kid, Mad City, before I review it. So I'll give myself a week to do that, just to get a better idea of his whole discography, which I haven't really had before. All right. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that next time. I know you're all very excited to talk about that album. I actually am too, but you know, we'll save it for next time. Okay. Anyway, let's just start this. So I have like 3 tier lists. They look kind of fun. I found so we have this one, which I was told in the Discord server to actually to do, and it looks kind of interesting. I mean, I will when it comes to all of these tier lists here today. My opinions on some of the things that I'll place into the tiers will be a lot stronger and more fully formed than others. But because there's so much stuff to talk about, like if I've heard any of it, or at least like enough of it to kind of get a feel for what it is, like whether it's the band or the genre, then I'm gonna rank it. Okay, so you know, if you think any of my opinions seem super whack, it could be because I haven't heard as much of it as you have, as much of that band or that genre. In which case, just give me some recommendations. And yes, Angela, thank you for sending me this one. Let's just start on it. So I wanted to make sure. I want to make sure there's an E tier in every category. Okay, well, I'll fix it here. Anyway, this is the genres tier list. So I guess we'll just should we just go in order? I guess we'll just go in order. And I'll talk about my idea of what the genre is and if I've heard enough of it to say anything, and then we'll place it. Okay, there will probably be quite a number of things in the no opinion head empty section, but this is just kind of from my impressions. Okay, so don't take anything too personally. Okay. Abstract hip hop is an interesting one because I always thought that, well, for the longest time I thought abstract hip hop was kind of like experimental hip hop. Like I thought it meant hip hop with an abstract sound. That's actually not what it means. It means hip hop with abstract lyrics. A lot of abstract hip hop albums that I've heard cross over into experimental hip hop, in that the artists seem to tend to prefer more abstract beats, but it isn't actually necessary to the genre. A lot of hip hop genres are based on lyrics anyway, and so I guess I should have recognized that. But anyway, I didn't really understand what it was. So I mean, I would put abstract, like in concept, the idea of hip hop with abstract lyricism is cool. And I mean, some of the albums you have, obviously Mad Villainy here, but you have other albums I've heard, like Because the Internet, or I mean, a lot of like Death Grip stuff counts as abstract hip hop. I know Doom in general is considered abstract hip hop. So I mean, look, there's not enough opinion to have on this. I think I put it in B. I mean, like, I've enjoyed a lot of it. It's just like, as a genre, I guess the thing with hip hop genres is that they're probably going to rank a little bit lower than they maybe even should for me, just because I feel like the genre labels can be kind of weird for hip hop. Like what am I supposed to say about abstract hip hop? Like, okay, so the rappers who rap about more abstract concepts, where would I put that in the tiers? Like, I don't know. It's not really a sound thing, right? It's kind of difficult. So we'll put it in B, but like, it's not necessarily a judge of the music itself sometimes, because it's kind of hard to even pin down. But from what I've heard of it, I've obviously enjoyed plenty of abstract hip hop. Then we have Afrobeat, which I'll be honest, I just haven't heard enough of. This is just a style I'm just generally unfamiliar with. I don't want to like say anything about it, so we'll put it in no opinion, head empty. Alt dance, not a style I've listened to a lot of, but I've heard some artists who either are alternative dance artists or at least flirt with the style. A lot of people will say that like, this is like Talking Heads adjacent, I guess. It's not really Talking Heads, but it's like adjacent to that, or like adjacent to LCD Sound System, although that's considered like dance punk. What would be an artist who would define alt dance? I don't really know. I'll just put it in C. I don't tend to like dance music infused with rock that much. Like dance punk, for example, which seems to me a bit of an offshoot from this, is one of the more boring styles of rock music, in my opinion, from what I've heard. So I'll put it in C. Then we have alt metal, which is cool. This, obviously they have Deftones here, but I think when it comes to metal music, I would tend to prefer a sound that's closer to rock, which is what alt metal is, because it's closer to alternative rock than it is to a lot of metal. It certainly doesn't feel like metalhead kind of metal. I'll put it in B. I mean, I'm not big on metal, but like, obviously, I mean, I love Deftones, White Pony in particular. Some of my favorite metal albums are alt metal albums, but like, is this one of my favorite genres? No. Then we have alt rock, which I'm gonna put in S tier. Now, alt rock is such a diverse genre. It's such a diverse term, and it's so one of these genre labels where it's just kind of like you know it when you hear it. Like it there was at one time a real purpose to this label, but after alt rock became the popular style of rock, I think the label's meaning got hurt a lot. So then it became about the sound. But when you're talking about the sound, I mean, look at any of the generally top regarded alt rock albums, and a lot of them have very disparate, different sounds. And there's a couple other rock genres I'm sure we'll get to that are like that. But overall, I came up on like 90s alt rock. I fucking love alt rock. Like, a lot of my favorite albums are alt rock or alt rock adjacent. I mean, the term is so all encompassing and encompasses so many amazing bands, so much amazing music. It doesn't mean that all of it's good, obviously. There's plenty of shitty alt rock, but that's kind of like saying there's plenty of shitty rock. Like, yeah, but it's such a diverse label. I don't think it hinders the idea of alternative rock in itself, which I would put in S. Then we have ambient, which I will put in the B. I don't know if I've ever heard like an ambient album, but I've heard plenty of ambient music, and I like ambient music. I've enjoyed it whenever I've heard any of it. It's a style I'd like to delve further into. And here are some of the more essential albums. Here we have Music for Airports by Brian Eno on that, which is an album I do intend to get to. So, I mean, but I like ambient. I like ambient whenever it shows up as interludes on an album or whatever. I think a B is probably fine. Then we have art pop, which I'll also put in B. Like, some of the artists actually in art pop are obviously incredible artists. Like, you have Björk here, you have Kate Bush, you have fucking, I don't know, Julia Holter, you have whatever, right? There's like plenty that I can kind of think of, but then at the same time, like, when I listen to art pop music, has it ever transcended pop to me? Has it ever been where I'm like, oh yeah, this is hitting me in a way better than like pop music normally would? I mean, not really. You know, and also some of the records can be a little bit less interesting to me, honestly. But all that said, I think some of the best music in art pop can be some of the best music, period. And the artists are highly interesting, and they do interesting work. But I think I'd probably put it in B. Maybe A if I decide to move it, but that's where I would go. Art rock, I would put in the A tier. So the art rockers are beating the art poppers, I suppose. But, you know, I'm a rocker, you know what I mean? I could even justify an S tier for this. I guess the only thing, like, because when it comes to the music that's actually in this style, it is really, like, some of the best music ever. And it's one of these genre labels that's kind of exclusionary because it's like, when you call something art rock, by doing that, you're basically saying it's, like, extra intellectual or whatever. Like, you're not generally going to label a terrible album as an art rock album, you know? Like, a lot of the retrospective labeling, and well, this wasn't really a retrospective label. I believe artists were called this in their day. But anyway, you have stuff like the Velvet Underground. You have stuff like fucking David Bowie. You have stuff like Television. Well, I guess Television is more art punk, but still, like, I mean, you know, the idea of bringing art into rock music is a phenomenal idea, which I am highly into, and I always seem to be looking for. Avant folk, I just don't know if I can really rank, but I like the idea of it, but I don't really know if I can rank it. When it comes to jazz, like, I'm gonna have to, I don't even know if it's fair for me to rank any jazz genres. You know, I really don't think that it is. Like, avant-garde jazz, what do I think of that? I don't know. I mean, I've heard some albums, but, like, I guess stuff like some of my favorite jazz records that I have heard are avant-garde jazz, right? I like the idea, but I'm not a jazz head. I don't know enough about jazz. I took a whole jazz class, but I didn't end up listening to a ton of jazz out of it, so that's just something I'm fairly unexplored on. Yeah, I do need to listen to more jazz, but I'm not going to start giving opinions on that because I don't think that it's fair for me to. Avant-garde metal, I will put in the C tier. You know, in concept, it's really great. I think that metal music doing anything fucking different is cool to me, because so much metal sounds the same to my ears. Like I can recognize the difference between genres, but there's something about metal which is so like set in its ways to me, and I just don't vibe with that. So the idea of like avant-garde metal is great. I just like, I don't know. I've heard various different songs or artists in this style, and like some of them are really fucking crazy. Like you have Mr. Bungle here on the front, and then others just kind of sound like metal. I mean, I don't know. I'm not big on metal, so I'll put it in C. Then we have avant-garde, which I'll, first of all, like that's not really a genre label in the way they're putting it here, because that's so all-encompassing. In concept, I would put it in A, though. I love experimental music. I think experimental music is incredibly interesting. What's this band? Oh, it's not a band. I'm ranking music genres. I don't know if you're joking. You might be joking. If you're not joking, whatever. I'm ranking music genres. Anyway, I love the concept of experimental music. I think experimentation and avant-garde sensibilities make some of the greatest music around, at least some of the most interesting music around. You know, it is way too fucking vague of a term to just say avant-garde, because that can mean so many different things. And the fact that they're using like The Residents Not Available as the example is just kind of weird. Like, I would think of like avant-garde classical composers more than I would think of like random experimental bands. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's a great concept. Anyway, then we have Baroque pop, which I'll put in the C. I mean, you have like the Beach Boys. You have certain things that a lot of 60s artists did, incorporating Baroque elements into pop music. It's a great idea, I guess. I don't know if I've heard that much Baroque pop that's blown my mind, or that's really been all too exciting. I guess there are certain like tracks. I guess, you know, the concept is cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just a lot of acts I've heard use the style I've found to be a little bit mild to my ears. But in concept, I do like it. I'll put it in C. We have Berlin School. I just haven't listened to any. I know what it is. I just haven't listened to any. It's an early electronic movement. I haven't listened to any. A Big Beat. We have, what's this fucking band? Prodigy. We have the Prodigy here, right? Isn't that what this is? The Prodigy with like Smack My Bitch Up and fucking... Am I saying the right band? That's the right band, right? Anyway. That's the only act or any music I've ever heard in this style. I'll put it in C, I guess. Like, some of these genres are going to be things I've just randomly heard on like the 90s alt-rock radio station that sometimes turns on when I switch CDs in my car. So, or I used to listen to. But I've heard some Prodigy. They're okay. Then we have black metal, which I just haven't heard enough of, but what I have heard, I'll put in C. I'm just not big into metal. I think black metal has a cool idea. I've heard some cool tracks, but, you know, I've heard some really great tracks, too. But one of the big issues that I have, aside from the fucking Nazism, is also just the whole lo-fi recording thing that they all went for in the early days. Sounds like ass. And I know that's the point, but I don't favor it, I'll say. And then any more modern black metal I've heard, it's been hit or miss. But I'll put the style in C. Then we have blues rock, which I'll put in C. Here's the trouble that I'm gonna have, okay? Because I'm a kind of person who I really want to be able to get into anything. I want to be able to say I listen to everything and mean it. You know, I've always had that view, and it's gonna be hard for me to rank any genres below C because I just generally feel bad about it. I guess it's a matter of like, have I heard music in that style that I like? And for almost all of these genres, yes, like I've heard something. If I've heard anything, I've heard something I've probably liked. I just gotta think, like, is the style interesting to me? And then maybe that should factor into it, in which case I would have to put blues rock in the D. Like, I'm gonna put it in C because of Led Zeppelin. But if we don't count Led Zeppelin, there's a lot of pretty boring blues rock. Like, you know, it can be good. Like, I like the Rolling Stones. I like those bands. But, you know, mostly not very interesting to me as far as rock music goes. I'll put it in C because of Led Zeppelin. But that's really it. Blues is cool. Blues is fucking cool. It's just blues rock is one of the most basic forms of rock music. And I guess it just doesn't really stay interesting for very long. Sincere about genres that are not for you and put it in the lower tiers. I think Pazuzu, we will see how this goes, and I might start moving some things down. But I think for now, I'm actually fairly okay with what I've done. You know what? We'll put black metal in the D, and we'll put alt metal in the D. Or sorry, not alt metal, alt dance, because these I know are not my thing. Even if I like some of the artists and the styles, I guess that's going to be the hardest thing. Is like the only way I could conceivably give a genre an F is if I've never heard any good music in it, and that's going to be unlikely. We might find crunkcore down here, but I don't know about anything else. Canterbury scene, I've never listened to this style of prog. None of these bands I've ever heard, actually, so that's something that I'll get around to. Chamber folk, I will put in. I'll put that in the A. You know, I mean, fucking. First of all, they have Joanna Newsom as the lead artist here with East, and that's one of the greatest albums of all time. But then you also have like Fleet Foxes. I mean, chamber folk's kind of amazing. I guess I don't want to be putting anything in S that I haven't heard like a ton of, or that I'm not like the most familiar with, but you know, this is about as close as I can see it getting. Chamber folk, I mean, the artists that come to mind when I think of that style are all amazing. And I love chamber elements in music. I love that shit, so I eat that up. Symphonic elements, strings, orchestras, fucking whatever, right? I love that shit. But Joanna Newsom being in there makes it at least an A right off the bat. Then we have chamber pop, which again, I would just put it an A. And chamber pop isn't really a pop genre to what I understand. I believe it's an indie rock genre. One of these genres that has pop in the term, but it's actually a rock subgenre. Although it crosses over with indie pop, and indie pop crosses over with pop, so this is a very branched out style here. But I mean, first of all, with Sufjan Stevens, Illinois, and in the thumbnail, I mean, come on, right? But again, just chamber elements in, also in fucking Arcade Fire, chamber elements placed into indie and pop music is a genius concept, which I love, and I obviously have to put this in A, if not S. Chiptune, I'll put in the C. I think, you know, chiptune music, first of all, from what I understand, chiptune is chiptune refers specifically to music actually composed using bit technologies. So it isn't just music. It isn't just music influenced by or attempting to sound like soundtracks from the SNES or the NES or the Sega Genesis. It is specifically music actually composed with that technology. Obviously there's some of the best video game music of all time is chiptune. Some of the most recognizable and memorable is chiptune, so much so that, you know, there's like modern indie games always pull from this style in one way or another when it comes to the music. I mean, you know, am I a big video game music head? Not necessarily, so I'll put it in C, but chiptune is kind of awesome. I mean, what they were able to do with that technology is definitely awesome. I just, I don't know that it's something that I'm going to go out and seek out, you know what I mean? Then we have classical music. I can't rank it. Like, I don't listen to enough classical music. And also, as a genre label, this is not a genre because there's so many genres from classical music and different periods and eras and styles. I'm just going to put it in this just because I don't know how I'm supposed to have an opinion on fucking classical music, especially with as little of it as I have heard in my life. That's just not fair. Then we have contemporary folk. I will put this in the A tier. I love folk music. I would even consider putting this in S, but I'll just put it in A for now. But I love folk music. I mean, I think that some of my favorite music is folk or folk adjacent. There's just, I love lyrics. So folk really gets to emphasize the lyrics. Maybe this and like singer-songwriter, or maybe I'm putting together in my head. If singer-songwriter's on here, I'm going to put that in S. It is on here. Okay, well, we'll get to it. But anyway, contemporary folk is awesome. I love folk music, so I got to put it there. Then we have dark ambient, which I'll put in the C. I've heard some. I think it's neat. I think it's cool. Creepy and scary, and I like creepy and scary music. I haven't heard enough to put it any higher. Dark cabaret, I don't have an opinion on. Dark wave, I don't have an opinion on. Death industrial, I don't have an opinion on. Death metal will go in the B because of the band Death. Because they're fucking awesome. When it comes to actually a lot of metal that I've enjoyed, a lot of it's been death metal. So I mean, again, metal. Not a big metalhead. Actually, not a metalhead at all. I diss on metal sometimes. I'm not a big fan. But as far as metal goes, this is definitely one of my favorite genres from what I've heard. So I'll put it there. Dream pop, I'll put in the B. I know some people are gonna be like, "What?" Because dream pop's like everybody's favorite fucking thing. Dreamy music, dreamy aesthetics, not totally my vibe all the time. Of course, this genre contains within it some of the best music ever made, but talking purely about the genre and its aesthetic, I'm not like the biggest fan of like dreamy kind of music, you know? Now, they of course have Fishman's Long Season on here. You also have stuff like Yola Tango, or you could even say a little bit of My Bloody Valentine. Shoegaze adjacent, Cocteau Twins. There is incredible dream pop out there, without a doubt. I just, you know, I'm not talking purely about the actual albums I've heard from this style, but just the idea of the style in general. I'll put it in B. Then we have drone metal, which I will put in D, just because of Earth 2. But, you know, I have heard some drone metal I actually thought was really neat. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I like it in concept a lot, actually. This is the kind of thing that could move up a lot, but at the same time, like, I think drone is an awesome idea. I just, you know, when I think of drone metal, I think of Earth 2, and I don't like Earth 2, so this is just where it's going. Then we have drone, which I'll put in actually the B tier, because I think drone as an idea is kind of amazing. I can't put it any higher than B. I don't think that would really make much sense, but I like the idea of drone, the concept of a long note, letting it ring out. It's an aspect of sound and music that isn't explored that much, or that many people don't really think about that much or listen to that much or consider. So I think it's a cool idea. With East Coast hip hop, this is the thing about hip hop: East Coast hip hop and West Coast hip hop. How am I supposed to rank these? Like, I know you can rank it as like a movement, but as a genre, they encompass a lot of different styles and a lot of different rappers, right? So it's like, oh god, a bot, get out of here. Hang on, I'm banning the bot. Give me a sec. Let's get this bot out of here. All right, see ya. Anyway, but yeah, it's like such a vague concept. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I mean, they have Public Enemy here. I like Public Enemy. I mean, what else? You have like Nas. You have Biggie. I was about to say I almost got Biggie and Tupac confused as to who was West and East. That would have been dumb. But you have Biggie. I mean, you have some of the best rappers of all time here. But then couldn't you say the same for like West Coast? I mean, couldn't you say the same for like any hip hop? Whatever. I guess when I think about like some of the rappers that have come out of East Coast hip hop, I would have to put this in A, right? I mean, when you think about like styles in like New York hip hop and like Beastie Boys and shit. I mean, some of my favorite older rap music is East Coast. So I will put Tupac is from New York. Is that true? But Tupac was a West Coast rapper. Right, I mean, the whole thing was like West Side. I mean, that was Tupac's whole thing. I guess I don't know the history of Tupac. I guess I don't know enough about it. But Tupac's West Coast hip hop, right? There's California and shit, you know. Anyway, I think like there's too many great rappers, too many great albums I've heard that are from the East Coast, but I just struggle to understand what the genre determination is here. Not to say that the East Coast and the West Coast didn't have different sounds, because they definitely did, but did the East Coast all have a similar enough sound to just say it's all East Coast hip hop? I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah, like a vibe, exactly. I agree with that. But even then, like the vibe could be different between the artists. I don't know. Anyway, we'll put it in A, because yeah. Electro House, I will put in the B tier. It's probably one of the more interesting styles of house music to me, because it is more exciting than a lot of house music can be. It's one of the more like exciting and danceable and party oriented styles of house. There is a lot of shitty electro house out there though, which is the one thing that kind of holds it back. Like, you have stuff like, I mean, they have Justice here. You have like Deadmau5. You have really a ton of really popular EDM artists are electro house, or in genres close to electro house. A lot of popular house artists that you may know would be from this, unless you're into like, I don't know, some of the more underground stuff. But if you any house you would know like just off the top of your head is probably adjacent to this, I'll put it in B. Then we have experimental hip hop, which they have JPEG Mafia here. I don't like JPEG Mafia. I'm gonna be completely real with you. I just have not vibed with JPEG Mafia. I'm sorry. It's like a song by song thing for me. Whenever I try with his albums, I get really bored. But aside from JPEG Mafia, sorry about that. But aside from JPEG Mafia, I would put this. I think in concept, I think this is cool enough to be A. I think in concept, like, again, and yeah, it is pretty broad. That's true, but at least it's broad in a way where I think giving it a genre label makes sense, because any artist who experiments enough in hip hop is going to stand out. A lot of hip hop doesn't necessarily do that, at least not in the way that these artists do. Now, how these artists experiment in hip hop is going to be completely different depending on the artist you're talking about. But all of these artists are going to stand out from the crowd in that way. I think giving it one label is fine. I love this genre in concept. I've heard a lot of amazing music in this genre, so I think an A tier is probably justified. I think that probably makes sense. Then we have Folktronica, which I haven't necessarily heard enough of. I don't think it's fair for me to give an opinion on Folktronica, even though I've heard some. I don't think that would be fair. I love the concept of Folktronica. Then we have Freak Folk, which I have heard some. I don't know if I can give an opinion on this when I felt the only Freak Folk album I've ever listened to was like Animal Collective Sung Tongs, which I kind of really don't like. I'll just put it in D because we need to fill up this tier list. Okay, then we have Free Jazz, which I will put in the B from what I've heard. I really enjoy it. I love hearing music that's just off the fucking walls insane. And it depends on the free jazz. It does depend on the free jazz. But I think some of it is so batshit, it's just impossible for me not to enjoy it. We have Funk, which is going to go in the A tier, if not the S tier at this point. I'll put it in A though. But Funk is amazing. I've been getting into Funk. It's just fucking great. It's an incredibly entertaining and funny, but also like sometimes legitimately adventurous style. And not all of it's funny. I mean, like, some of it is very easy to take seriously, and some funk music touches on some really serious stuff. It's great at doing a lot of things. It's great at being party music. It's great at being hello, Peach Tea. It's great at being party music. It's great at being more serious music. It's great at a whole bunch of things. Funk could even deserve S, to be honest, but I'll put it in the A. Then we have glam rock, which I'm gonna put in the B tier. I mean, when you talk about like David Bowie, that's like S tier type shit, you know? But there's other glam rock like T-Rex and pretty much any other glam rock act that I'm not as crazy about. But I mean, I like the style. I wouldn't put it any higher than B. Then we have grindcore, which I'm gonna put in the E tier. You know, I see the appeal of it. I get like it's almost a very similar appeal to like noise music, but whenever I've heard this, I've just found it so difficult to get invested in. I found it so difficult to like feel in any way, aside from just like intense displeasure, which I guess is the idea. Maybe I could get into this style in the future, but I just found it difficult. Then we have groove metal, which I'm gonna put in the E as well. I think groove metal just kind of blows. I don't know if F is justified, but like Pantera is fucking stupid, and that's all I can say about that. Then we have grunge, which I will put in. I mean, like this is the style of music that got me into listening to music. It's just that on the whole, grunge, I'll put it in B. When it comes to the big four bands, I love Nirvana. I love Pearl Jam's first album. I love Soundgarden. I don't like Alice in Chains that much. But really, when you talk about... Oh, and Stone Temple Pilots, I enjoy Purple a lot. But, you know, when you actually listen to a lot of grunge that was coming out at the time, a lot of it was kind of shitty. And as the genre got big and more bands started to take from it, it resulted in a lot of shitty music. And I it also, as a genre label, is just very difficult to pin down. It's almost more about like a time and a place than it is really a sound. And at this point, any music that attempts to be grunge is just inherently revivalist, and as a result, kind of boring. I think it has its place in history, and some of the greatest music of all time was in this genre, and this genre really did get me into music. And some of my favorite bands are grunge bands, but at the same time, the whole genre I would say is a B tier genre. Then we have hard rock, which I would put in the C tier. It really depends with hard rock. It really does, because some hard rock is like some of the worst music of all time to me, and then some of it's some of the best. I mean, you have bands like The Who, you have bands like Led Zeppelin, but then you have a lot of other bands from the time who just kind of suck ass. I mean, it's honestly like I would be inclined to put it in D, but I just can't, because there is a lot of amazing music released under this genre. That's the thing. But it's like, it really just depends. It really depends on the intentions too. Sometimes it's cool to have music that rocks out. There's like a little gnat flying around me. Anyway, sometimes it's cool to have music that rocks out, but a lot of hard rock that tries to do that just comes across overly masculine. And, it's like dick swinging music. I don't know. I have to put it in C. I mean, when you're, like, it has bands like The Who and fucking Led Zeppelin and shit, and Queens of the Stone Age, I gotta put it in C. But I don't particularly like hard rock. Then we have hardcore punk, which I'm gonna put in the E tier. I don't like hardcore punk. I just don't. I've not been able to get into it. Obviously, you have, like, Dead Kennedys, and they're a great band. And you have post-hardcore, which shot off of hardcore punk, which released a lot of really interesting, adventurous music. But the style itself, the early scene of hardcore punk. And Minor Threat. I mean, I like Minor Threat a lot, too. There are bands I like in hardcore punk. However, this is one of my least favorite genres, in a weird way. Like, despite the fact that I love those particular bands, I can't stand a lot of this shit. I think that these bands were so DIY that, like, and in the 80s, sounding DIY basically means that you had the worst sound imaginable to me. I can't stand the guitar tones, the terrible lo-fi recordings. I don't like this genre of music. I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's like, I see the appeal, I think, but music that sounds bad to my ears, like production that sounds bad, I'm just not going to get past it. So that's where I am with that. Harsh noise, I would put in the C tier. I like it in concept. I've heard a lot of it that I found interesting. I find it interesting. It's an interesting listen. I don't know if I feel one way or the other about it, though, or if any of it has ever, like, transcended just being interesting for me. I could say it's painful, but then that is the point, and I kind of enjoy that about it. At the same time, a lot of harsh noise that you'll find, like, on Bandcamp or whatever, can be some of the laziest music ever. I just by nature of making harsh noise is not necessarily difficult, but in concept, you can do a lot with it. I'll put it in C. Then we have heavy metal, which I'll put in C. No, I'll put it in D. Just not my favorite stuff. Not a big Black Sabbath fan, not a big fan of a lot of this heavy metal, this early heavy metal music. It's okay. I'll put it in D. I just don't like enough of it to justify a C or whatever. Then we have house, which this is a very diverse term that can mean a lot of different things, and different house subgenres can sound pretty vastly different from each other, to the point where it almost makes it hard to understand what the genre even means. But there are definitely some recurring elements. When I think of house as just a label, I think of the more laid back style of house, just in comparison to something like, electro house, which came later. But like the 4 on the floor drums, that's, the kick beat on every quarter note, that's like the house thing. I like it okay. I'll put it in C because it really varies for me. Like, some house is just kind of boring to me, other house is really good to me. I think this is such a varied genre that I can't really go any other way with it. IDM I'm gonna put in D. I think this encompasses styles of electronic music that are not as interesting to me. Just a lot of this stuff can be really boring to my ears. I'm not necessarily, when I'm listening to electronic music, I'm not really wanting to sit there and, like, feel like I'm thinking. I've talked about this before, but every time I listen to this, it just makes me feel like I'm studying. It's just not that exciting, but it depends. It also does depend, because you have, like, Aphex Twin and you have other artists who have done incredibly exciting things in this style, but a lot of it is boring. Like, they have Boards of Canada here. I just don't like Boards of Canada and a lot of other IDM. It's, it varies for me, but in concept, not my favorite thing. Industrial hip hop, I would have to put in the A tier. Right alongside experimental hip hop, because these two things just go hand in hand. And all of my favorite experimental hip hop has been industrial hip hop, so there's that. Whenever I hear tracks from this, they just go hard. I like how industrial hip hop just goes hard. I think that's just fun. So I'll put it in the A. I think it's a great style of hip hop. Whenever I've heard any of it from any artist I've ever listened to in this style, I've pretty much enjoyed it. So, except for maybe like Yeezus, I guess. Then we have industrial metal, which I'll put in the D tier. As far as all of the industrial tinged genres go, this is my least favorite. I've heard a lot of industrial metal I found to be pretty unenjoyable to one degree or another. I think the style can be cool, but you know, I guess it's just me not liking metal, but there's a lot of bands in this style that I think kind of suck. Industrial rock, I will put in the C tier. It really just depends for me with this style, and of course it depends on the artist. It always depends on the artist, but I guess, you know, industrial, which is right here, which I'm just going to go ahead and put honestly in the A. In the B, I guess. Yeah, I'll put it in the B. Industrial, the actual original style of industrial, that is fascinating. Like bands acts like Throbbing Gristle or Nurse with Wound or whatever else. Artists who were completely on some other shit, you know, like what industrial means in the context of industrial rock, industrial metal, and even industrial hip hop is so different than what industrial was. And I think what industrial was is kind of more interesting than any of them. At the same time, does it have the best music in it compared to like industrial hip hop? Probably not, but really interesting genre. And I wish that the genres that have come from it took more from its actual like vibe, because nobody who makes industrial rock or industrial metal or industrial hip hop sounds like fucking Throbbing Gristle. So frankly, I don't even know why they're considered the same genre. Anyway, then we have jazz fusion, which I'll put in the B tier. I've enjoyed a lot of it that I've heard. I guess I haven't heard enough to say like A tier or whatever, but I think jazz fusion can be really interesting music. And because it leans more on the jazz than the rock, you get to hear certain ideas in rock taken in a way, you know, that doesn't sound anything like rock music anymore, which can be pretty cool. You have Bitches Brew right here, which is an amazing album, of course, and plenty of other songs and tracks that I've heard from jazz fusion are great. Sometimes it can be hard to separate what makes something jazz fusion and what makes it jazz rock. When you listen to like Miles Davis, you can tell that's not rock music. And then other artists sound almost like jazz rock. It's kind of hard for me to make the distinction in my head with certain artists like the Mahavishnu Orchestra or stuff like that. But this is a cool genre. And then we have jazz rap, which I'll also put in. Well, see, I haven't heard enough of this to say whether this would be like an A or a B for me. When I see like Tribe Called Quest, I haven't like loved Tribe Called Quest necessarily. In concept, jazz rap is kind of amazing. I don't think I can justify an A just because I'm not personally into it like that yet. But I'll put it in the B for now. Then we have krautrock, which I'm going to put in the C tier. It's okay. I've found some of it a little bit boring. I found some of it really interesting. It varies a lot for me, but you know, it's a cool style. I always appreciate a nice experimental rock style, you know. It's cool. Math rock, I will put in the B tier. I've enjoyed a lot of it. Some amazing records are in this style. Some math rock can be way too aimless for my tastes, and some of it can be absolutely fucking tight and sick. I think B is where I'll have to go for that. Mathcore, I haven't really heard enough of. From what I have heard, I would probably put it in the C tier, although I have enjoyed some of it a lot, so I don't know. Maybe I have to listen to more. But, you know, but it's definitely cool. I don't know, actually. You know, I've kind of enjoyed a lot. I'll put it in B, actually, because I've enjoyed a lot of it that I've heard. I'll put it in B, yeah. Then we have metalcore, which I just haven't heard enough of this style. I don't really feel justified ranking this anywhere, because like what I've heard Jane Doe. I just don't think I've heard enough. I don't have a good, well-rounded enough opinion or view of this style. And when you compare it to like mathcore is more specific. So the fact that I've only heard like a number of tracks and maybe like one album is kind of enough. Whereas with metalcore, there's so much of that out there. I don't know how to rank it. Then we have minimalism, which I haven't listened to a lot of, but I do understand the concept. I have heard some. I think it's genius in concept. I have heard In C. Have you ever heard In C? That shit is amazing. I'll put minimalism in B. I would love to listen to more of this. But whenever I have heard any of these compositions, I found them to be incredible. I actually might even place this higher if I listen to more of it. We have modal jazz, which I just don't have an opinion on. We have MPB, which I don't have an opinion on, but I'll get around to the album that's shown here anyway. We have neoclassical, I don't have an opinion on. Neo-psychedelia, I would put in the C tier. Again, it's just the thing with dreamy music. Like, some of this stuff I've loved, some of this stuff I have not. Some of it's boring to me, some of it isn't. It's completely in the middle. In C, it's the C is in the letter. Like, it's in the key of C or whatever. Check it out. Anyway, then we have neo soul. I mean, I haven't heard enough of this for the opinion I'm about to give to be completely valid. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I would put it in D though. Like, I have heard some great neo soul, don't get me wrong, although it's worth noting that all of the like neo soul I've listened to that I've loved has always been also in other styles. Like, it's taken from neo soul, but it's not like purely neo soul. I have been loving soul music, and I think the reason I never really went out of my way to listen to soul music was because the only soul I'd ever heard was like this kind of stuff from the 90s. I just don't care for it. I just don't care for it. That kind of stuff. Like, we have D'Angelo here. I have not heard a D'Angelo track that I've really enjoyed that much. Maybe I'll turn around on this. But, you know, this is a style that can work really well in tandem with other things, like alternative R&B or even hip hop. You know, it can work really well with those things. But whenever it's on its own, this is the style of soul music I don't care for, at least as of right now. Maybe I'll change my mind. Neoclassical dark wave, I have not listened to any. Neo folk, I've only listened to some Swans. I don't feel like I have a legitimate opinion on this style, but it is an interesting idea. We have new wave, which I'm gonna put in the D tier. Not that I don't like new wave acts, I just don't like this genre. Like, this genre doesn't appeal to me. This is the start of where rock music would go in the 80s. You have the mainstream rock music of the 80s, which I hate, and then the underground music of the 80s, which a lot of that I don't care for too much either. Like, I just don't like where rock went necessarily during that decade. I don't find new wave to be that exciting to me. So I'll put it in D, even though there are, like, obviously great bands and great songs and even albums in this style. I guess it's just, like, stylistically, it does not appeal to me. Then we have no wave, which I just don't have an opinion on. Like, I've heard Early Swans. I've heard some of the other acts in this who don't sound anything like Early Swans. I don't know if I totally understand this as a genre so much as a movement. But even then, I don't really have an opinion on it. Noise rock, I would put in the B tier. I think at its best, noise rock can be amazing. And I think a lot of it, however, can be a little bit directionless to me. Like, the more noise rock I have heard, kind of the less I've actually liked this style. Because it can be so amazing. Like, this can be an S tier genre. But then I've heard a lot of acts which just don't give a shit about songwriting, and that stuff starts boring me. I'll put it in B. I mean, I could justify an A, I guess. I think, yeah, no, I gotta put it in A though, because, like, aesthetically, I love the shit out of noise rock. Aesthetically, I love the shit out of it. But then when you talk about the art, all of the music that's been released in it, that's where it goes down a bit for me. But aesthetically, I think this is an amazing genre. I love it in concept, and I love a lot of music in it, so we'll put it there. Noisecore, I don't have an opinion on at all. New metal, you know, a lot of people around me are, like, coming around on this style. I can't. I just can't with fucking new metal. I just can't. I don't like any of this shit. I don't like any of these bands. Deftones, people sometimes call new metal, but they feel so far removed. But, like, all of the big new metal bands, System of a Down, people say is new metal. Like, are they even? I guess a little bit, and I like them. Nah, new metal blows, though. I'm sorry. Like, if everyone's gonna come around on this style, that's cool for you. I don't like it. Then we have pop rap, which, oh, I mean, I gotta put it in C, because, like, pop rap can mean shit like Flo Rida or fucking B.O.B., you know, or Pitbull, the style of rappers who they only exist to get feature spots from pop singers. A lot of those songs were big when I was, like, actively hearing modern pop music, so it is tainted by that. because that style of pop rap is pretty much the worst hip hop imaginable, because it isn't even like hip hop. I mean, it is hip hop, but like it's hip hop that's designed to be listened to by non-hip hop listeners just to get a radio hit because of a catchy chorus, right? That kind of shit's fucking awful. Those rappers like Flo Rida, he exists just to make money off of the pop singers he brings on for his choruses, right? And artists like him. I'm dating myself a lot even talking about fucking Flo Rida, but the thing is, in concept, pop rap's actually amazing. And you have stuff like, we have Kids See Ghosts, you have a lot of Kanye West stuff, you have like Brockhampton, you have artists who are legitimately trying to make hip-hop music and be listened to by a hip-hop audience, but making poppier, hookier music. And I love that in concept. I love that in concept. So that's why I would put it in C, because this just varies so much depending on whether it's more focused on being pop or more focused on being rap. I guess that's really what makes the distinction count. So I'll put it in C. Then we have pop rock, which, I mean, you know, I would put it in A. I mean, some of the best music of all time is pop rock. It's one of those genres that's so varied and so many different artists are under it that, you know, I can list artists I don't personally care for, but the blending of pop and rock is fantastic. I mean, it's because it allows for rock music in a pop context, which gives me the hooks, the great songwriting, stuff that I love to hear in music can be focused on in this genre and still be rock music. So I mean, you know, post grunge has to go in the E tier. I can't put it in F because there honestly is some good post-grunge, all of which kind of happened in the 90s. Once post-grunge moved into like the 2000s, it's kind of the worst genre ever. but there's some okay stuff in it, but like, you know, a lot of fucking horrendous music came out of this style. I'll put it in E. Then we have post-hardcore, which I would put in B. I guess it really depends on the artist, and a lot of it doesn't necessarily appeal to me a lot. But there's so much you can do with post-hardcore that I have the potential of loving, right? It's a genre that so much can be done with. It's so adventurous, and it can push forward in so many ways. I think in that sense, I do enjoy the genre. Then we have post-industrial, which I just haven't listened to enough of. I guess this is like industrial music that came after the original period of industrial music, which was basically just experimental music. Post-industrial incorporates more like conventional elements. This is more the style that artists take from when they make industrial rock or industrial metal or industrial hip-hop. I just haven't heard enough music that's like purely post-industrial to really say anything about. Post-metal, I honestly just haven't listened to almost any. Post-minimalism, what even? Post-punk, I would put in the B tier. I think it just depends on the artist for me. Like, there's a lot of amazing post-punk out there, and then there's post-punk out there that just kind of doesn't interest me. I'll put it in B, but I think like the best of this style is amazing, and it's another one of these styles that you can do so much with, and a style I have a lot of respect for. Then we have post-rock, which has to go in the A tier for me, I think. You know, another style you can do a lot with, a style that got played out to a certain extent, but the best music in this style is really like the best music to me. Like, this hits things in my brain when it is done perfectly that few other music, if any other music, ever does. The only reason I can't give it an S is just because of how played out the style got. The fact that there aren't actually that many bands that are like super great in this style. You have like the ones everybody thinks of who make amazing music, and then a lot of bands that make kind of boring music whenever you listen to their stuff. And unlike something like alt rock, which I put in S just because of the best of it, I don't think post rock is necessarily stylistically varied enough for me to say that the fact that I love it so much in concept justifies an S tier. Maybe it's a little arbitrary. Power pop, I would put in the C. I don't necessarily care for it or against it. Maybe I haven't listened to enough. Power violence, I have no opinion on. Prog metal, I would put in the E. If not the F, but I have some respect for a number of bands in the style, so I won't put it in F. But a lot of bands in the style fucking blow ass. It is a very hated on genre by a lot of people, I think, and I think that's justified because I've listened to, you know, a number of these acts, a number of these songs of these bands, and an album here or there, and even the best in the style do not appeal to me very much, like Tool or whatever. I have respect for certain bands here. I'm not going to give them an F, but anyway. Then we have prog rock, which I'm going to put this in S tier. Um, I've been a bit arbitrary with this because there's prog rock I don't like or whatever, but when I think of what are my absolute favorite genres, what music appeals to me the most, I think of prog for sure. And again, this is the style that can be done poorly and has been done poorly, but like God, when this style is at its best, it is like what I want music to be. You know, like this, like at its best, this is everything I love in music all in one, and it's one of the most adventurous styles of all time. Even though we can look back and call it cheesy or fucking whatever the hell you want to say, their bands in this style did things which were undeniably incredibly ambitious, and a lot of which has paid off in some of the greatest music ever. Even the biggest prog haters have to admit there are like prog records or prog bands out there who are just fucking amazing. I don't know of anybody who would ever be able to tell me that there's no good prog out there or that they hate prog. Anybody who hates prog always has some prog that they think is awesome. So I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Prog is awesome. I'm putting it in S. Prog electronic, I don't have an opinion on. Prog pop, I would put in the B. We have Kate Bush here. I mean, when Kate Bush ventures into prog pop, it's awesome. You have acts like the Moody Blues. Prog pop's a little bit hard to define sometimes because pop that is progressive isn't necessarily prog pop. It gets kind of weird. I think B tier is justified for that genre. Psychedelic folk, I will put in the B tier. We have Syd Barrett, The Madcap Laughs here, which I actually don't like that album, but when I think of a lot of other psychedelic folk, I think it's a really cool style. There's a lot of great acts and great music in this style. Neutral Milk Hotel, and my favorite band of all time, could be called a psych folk act. Would I put it in A? I don't know. In concept, does it justify an A for me? Probably not. But some amazing music in that style for sure. Psychedelic pop. I think I'd have to put it in A tier. I mean, we have Love here, which I'm not crazy about, and there's a number of other psych pop that I'm not crazy about, but at its best and in concept, I think the style is amazing. Like, I think incorporating psychedelia into pop music is maybe even more interesting than incorporating it into rock music in a way. I don't know if I can fully justify an A here, honestly. Yeah, I'll put it in B, I guess, because I don't know. A lot of the bands who are... No, it's an A. Fuck it, it's A. Okay. Psychedelic rock will also have to go in the A tier, I think. I think psychedelic rock, especially in the 60s, produced some of the greatest music of all time. Still to this day, there's things you can explore in this style. You have artists like the Beatles are psychedelic pop, I guess, but you have like Pink Floyd here. You have Jimi Hendrix. I mean, you have Cream, who are okay, I guess. Yeah, it depends on the band, but this style pushed music forward in so many ways that I can't deny. I think it's a great fucking genre. I think I have to give it an A. There's still a lot to go. Jesus Christ. Punk folk punk, don't have an opinion on. Punk rock, I would put in the C tier. It varies so much for me whether I love artists who are punk rock or I don't. Never been a favorite genre of mine, but there absolutely is some amazing music in this genre, and it also influenced a lot of my favorite music of all time. I'll put it in C. We have R&B. This is so fucking varied that I can't even believe it's here. Are we gonna find like just rock anywhere here? Probably not. I don't know why you would put an entire meta genre on here, but I have to put it in A. There's some of this stuff that I really, really don't like, particularly like contemporary R&B from the 90s. But classic R&B is some of the greatest music of all time, I am coming to discover. R&B as a whole produced so much incredible music and songwriters and artists with widespread influence, and I can't put it in S because they fucking use R&B as a meta genre, which is just stupid, but there are styles in it which I would put in S. We have reggae, which I don't have an opinion on, if I'm being honest. Rock and opposition, don't have an opinion on. Shoegaze, I'll put it in C. No, I'll put it in B. I mean, it just varies for me. Like, people love the shit out of this. I mean, it just depends on the album. It just depends on the artist for me. But in concept, I love it for sure. We have singer-songwriter, which will get an S for me. I adore this style. I think that artists who are singular artists focusing on the content of their lyrics is amazing, and so much of my favorite music is in singer-songwriter. I think this is an incredible style, which which has some of the best music of all time. I would absolutely put this in S tier. This is like, if I see an album as singer-songwriter, I basically want to listen to it. That's how I know it's an S tier for me. We have ska punk, which I'm going to put in the E tier. One of my least favorite genres of music, but there is some music in it that is good. There's a lot of fucking bands in this style or songs I would hear that I do not care for. We have sludge metal. I don't have an opinion on this. We have soul, which gets S tier. This is a recent opinion of mine, but I have come around on this 100%. I want to listen to fucking soul. I see soul, and I want to listen to it. Like, literally, that is how it is. I think the style is incredible. Classic soul. There's so many incredible artists in this style. So many amazing songs. Beautiful singers, some of the most pained music and also some of the most joyous music of all time. We could also, if we encompass pop soul into this as well, and like Motown sound, you have some of the greatest singles of the 1960s. Like this is S tier. This is S tier. Sound collage, I'm going to put in, honestly, in the A tier. I don't listen to enough of this shit, but I fucking love sound collages whenever I listen to them. I need to listen to more, but sound collage composers, I've always been just fascinated by their work. There's so many sound collage pieces I used to like just show to people because I'd be like, oh, I found this. You want to hear this crazy shit? It's such an interesting style where you use sound and recordings to create pieces of art. I find that incredibly fascinating. As far as like avant-garde music goes, this is like probably right up there. We have Southern hip hop, which you know, honestly, from what I've heard, I have not really enjoyed very much. I don't know that any of the styles that have come out of Southern hip-hop have necessarily been what I like to hear in hip-hop. I haven't listened to enough of it, but from what I have, I gotta put it in D, to be honest with you. We have Outkast here, and I'm gonna be listening to Aquemini, and you know, there's plenty of Outkast songs that are fucking amazing and everything. It's just like, when I think of all the styles in hip-hop that have come out of Southern hip-hop, they tend to be my lesser favorites. I don't want to say it's bad or anything, but like a lot of the styles in D, I'm not necessarily saying are bad. I just don't think they're for me. I don't think Southern hip hop's necessarily for me. We have space rock. I honestly don't know what this genre is. I really don't. Like, this genre is one of the dumbest genre labels of all time, because like space rock in the 90s and shit actually kind of does mean something. When it came back, it kind of did actually mean something. Like, bands were actually doing something you could call space rock. But like, literally every time something is space rock, you could just call it something else. Like, literally every fucking time. I can't think of anything that's purely space rock. Maybe I just haven't heard it. Anyway, then we have stoner metal. I don't really have an opinion on it. Stoner rock. I love Queens of the Stone Age. I guess I'll put it in B because I love Queens of the Stone Age, but I don't know enough about it to put it any higher. So I don't really know what to say, you know, but Queens of the Stone Age is awesome. Synth fuck. I'm into that synth fuck. Synth funk, I'm gonna put in the D tier. I would even consider putting it in the E tier. I'm gonna put it in the E tier. I'm sorry. Like, there are artists who made great synth funk songs, but the style to me is terrible. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the terrible 80s sound. It just doesn't appeal to me. It hurts me. I just don't like listening to it. I think there's like great songs. We have Purple Rain here, which is obviously a great album, and you know, Prince was an amazing artist who just doesn't necessarily appeal to me just because he made synth funk music. The fact that an artist as incredible as Prince cannot appeal to me purely because of the style that he performed in, I guess that proves how much I don't like synth funk. I just don't like it. Purple Rain isn't really synth funk. It has synth funk in it. I think a better example would be like 1999 or Sign of the Times, which in that case I like synth funk even less. Purple Rain absolutely has some synth funk in it. but it's more of like an influence rather than it being a synth funk album. I think using Purple Rain as the example here is stupid. They should have used like 1999 or something. Anyway, we have a synth pop. I'm gonna put it in the B. You know, I'm conflicted because like 80s synth pop is like kind of dated and I'm not crazy about it, but modern synth pop is fucking amazing. So, I mean, it's almost to the point where like I could put this in A just because like of how good synth pop can be. I just think of like a lot of synth pop. Fuck it though, because then a lot of the synth music in the 80s that I've always hated hasn't really been synth pop. It's been other things. I'm gonna put synth pop in A. I would have never thought this like even 3 years ago, but having gotten to so many artists that I've gotten into in the last 3 years, synth pop's one of my favorite genres. I couldn't put it in S because of the original styles of synth pop. But then when I've listened to like the earliest kind of synth pop, like this stuff from this particular Kraftwerk album or whatever, I found it to be kind of amazing. So I don't know. Then we have Tech Death, which I mean, I've listened to Death. I don't really want to have an opinion on this. Techno as a style, I would put it in the C. I think this is one of the lesser styles of EDM for me. As far as classic EDM goes, a lot of techno feels like it's more designed for a club environment, not necessarily great to listen to just on its own, although it can be. I think this is a style which varies a lot in quality for me, whether I really fuck with it or don't. So I'll put it in C. We have thrash metal, which I will put in the C tier. You know, I think thrash is one of the more appealing styles of metal to me. I'm still not crazy about it or anything, but I think like it has more potential. I'm not a big fan of metal. I've actually never heard of this, so I don't say about that. Trip hop, I'm gonna put in the D. Not crazy about it. A lot of it bores me, but there's good music in it. But it's as a style, I'm not crazy about it. Electroacoustic, this is a style of experimental music. I haven't even listened to any of it. Anti-folk, I'm gonna get into this style very soon. Like Kimya Dawson, I've enjoyed some tracks from. I expect to like some of this, but I can't have an opinion on it right now. Folk rock is going to go in the A tier. We have Bob Dylan here. I mean, that's God tier shit. But folk rock is a great genre. A lot of great bands, a lot of great singles, a lot of great songs, especially in the 60s. I'll put that in A. We have modern classical, which I can't rightfully give an opinion on. American primitivism, I can't give an opinion on. Hyperpop, I'm going to put it in the D. I'm trans. I'm supposed to like this, but it really just depends. Like, I still to this day just cannot stand 100 Gex. But then, and like other hyperpop artists like Dorian Electra, I just haven't really gotten into. But then there's so many things about it I respect is the thing. And like, there are hyperpop artists or hyperpop songs that I've found to be incredible. And I think that there's a lot of potential for it. But I think, like, this is, like, the post-Sophie stuff, you know? Sophie's amazing. But hyperpop comes after Sophie, right? And then you have stuff like 100 Gex and stuff inspired by that. I'll put it in D. I don't think I could justify an E, even though there's some hyperpop out there that I really just fucking cannot stand at all. But I respect it. Also, I'm a transgender, so, you know, can't give it any lower than that. West Coast hip-hop, I guess I'll put it in B. When I think about like the rappers in West Coast versus rappers in East Coast, I tend to prefer East Coast, but there's still obviously a lot of great music in the style. I mean, it's one of these things where it's like, this is literally so fucking vague and can mean so many different things that I don't know how else to rank it. I'm just ranking it in comparison to how I ranked East Coast, I guess. Memphis rap, I don't like. I'm going to put it in E. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I've heard a lot of these tracks. I've heard 3 6 Mafia. I've heard... That's really the only artist I can think I've heard a lot of. But, like, I've heard plenty of tracks from Memphis rap. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't like the sound. It's just too much to me. I just can't vibe with it. Trap music, I'll put in the B tier. I think that trap can be very fun. Trap can even be fairly adventurous at times, though very often it definitely isn't. I don't think that's the point. It can be fun. I haven't listened to enough trap albums, but a lot of trap music that I have heard I've enjoyed. You know, a little bit passively. But still, I like trap. I think it's cool. I like the vibe. I like what the artists in this style are doing. I like where they've pushed hip hop to today. And so I have a lot of respect for trap. So I'll put it in the B tier. Next up, we have cloud rap, which I'm going to put in F. This is my first F tier. I fucking hate cloud rap. I'm sorry, I hate it. I've never heard any of this shit I thought I liked. Or I shouldn't say never, but oh my god, dude. All the fucking artists who are listed in this style, I just do not get. I just don't get it. I don't get the point. I mean, in concept, it's so cool. This is the thing that bugs me. It's literally so cool in concept. Like, the idea of, like, dreamy, cloudy beats. That's what I think of when I think of cloud rap, but then I actually listen to it, and it sounds like fucking memes. Is it not a meme? Is it a meme? Because every time I hear these fucking guys, I feel like they're playing a joke on me. Like, all of them are terrible at rapping, and it feels like that's kind of the point. And then for the people who perform cloud rap and they sing, they're terrible? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get cloud rap. Do I hate Lil B? I mean, I can't say I hate Lil B, but I don't really like Lil B. I like the beats of a lot of this stuff, you know, but it's like all these artists, I just don't get it. Tango Nuevo, I have no opinion on. Sunshine Pop, I don't really get this as a genre. I mean, I do, but I don't know what the third stream, I don't have an opinion on. I mean, this album, fucking Black Saint and the Sinner Lady is incredible. I don't want to have an opinion on jazz genres. I don't feel like I rightfully can. Samba, I have no opinion on. Bossa Nova, I have no opinion on. Psychedelic Soul, I haven't listened to a ton of this, but I think it's cool in concept. I'll give it a B. Hard Bop, I don't want to have opinions on jazz genres. I don't feel like I should. Slowcore, I will put in the CT. I don't have an opinion on this. Power Electronics, I will put in the B. I've heard a number of tracks from this style that I found really interesting and quite enjoyed in a very fucked up, intense way. I haven't really listened to any albums. I probably wouldn't put this any higher, but I do like Power Electronics. New Age, I have no opinion on. Dub, I have no opinion on. Anarcho-punk, I have no opinion on. Jangle Pop, I'm going to put in the D tier. The style itself is not interesting to me. I don't like it on its own. I think the Smiths, for example, took the style in interesting directions later in their career, but their earliest work, which to me is the most jangle poppy, is boring. Whenever I've heard a lot of jangle pop, I found it boring. Not a genre I'm crazy about. Indie rock gets S tier. This is, I'm an indie head. I'm an indie head at heart. I'll remain this way, okay? Indie rock is one of those styles I just want to explore. Every time I get into it, I want to explore more and more and more. It's some of the most emotional and vulnerable music out there, but it's also so diverse, and it can include music that kind of goes fucking hard as fuck, and then music that's for softies. It incorporates so many different things, it's kind of even difficult to pin down exactly what it is. There is a bug on my hand. Hello. It's like a little gnat. Anyway, what the fuck is this thing doing? I'm doing tier lists. What do you care? Little bug. Anyway, I think that indie rock's an S tier for me for sure. Then we have indie folk, which is God, would I put it in S? I think so. I mean, I think I would put indie folk in S also. I put it right up there with indie rock for me. For the exact same reasons, but indie folk's for softies, and I'm a softie, so love it. Then we have lo-fi slacker rock. I'll put this in the C tier. It depends for me with this, for sure. I think some of it's great, some of it's not. Yeah. Minimal synth, I have no opinion on. Gothic rock, I will put in the C tier. It's just, a lot of it's from the 80s. That's really all I can say. I think the style's awesome, but I can't stand the production on a lot of these recordings from these bands that I've heard. And just in general, maybe it's not my favorite shit ever, but it's definitely cool. I respect it. I don't know if I could put it any higher than C. Crust punk, I have no opinion on. Country is such a fucking varied thing. I don't even want to have an opinion on country yet. I like country, I think, but it's like one of these things where it's so varied, I don't know what I'm supposed to say about it. Gangsta rap, I would put probably in the B tier. It's definitely fun. Classic stuff. Free folk, I have no opinion on. Drum and bass, I would put... For now, I'll put it in the C tier. I could see it going higher. I definitely like... No, you know what? Fuck it. I'll put it in B. I think drum and bass is cool. There's a lot of cool drum and bass music. It's pretty exciting. We have Deconstructed Club, I have no opinion on. Hindustani classical music. That's Indian classical music as well. Hindustani classical. God, I mean, whenever I listen to this stuff, it's fucking amazing. I'll put it in B. I could put it even higher, though. Whenever I've heard, like, stuff from this, it's been some of the best music I've ever heard in my life. Like, some of the most transcendental and interesting music of all time. But I haven't listened to enough of it to put it any higher than B. But I have actually listened to some of this, because I've been interested in it at various periods. We have, I don't know what that is. We have, I don't know, Raga, I don't know what that is. Well, I think I know what that is, but I've never listened to any. Dungeon Synth, I have no opinion on. Plunderphonics, I'm going to put in the E tier. I found it quite boring. I found it quite uninteresting. Actually, I'll put it in D, I guess, to be fair to it. Because there are some great albums in this style, obviously, but, like, in concept, it's not the most fascinating thing in the world to me. I've never heard of that. Vaporwave, I'm going to also put in the D. I have respect for Vaporwave, but I haven't listened to any that's really been too exciting. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. Chopped and Screwed, I have no opinion on. Dubstep, I will put... We're talking about, like, classic dubstep, I'm guessing. So I would put it in the D tier. Yeah, I don't know. No, I'll put it in C. I mean, like, it's got a cool vibe for sure, like classic dubstep, but not very exciting to me. I don't really like chill beats, and a lot of this dubstep is, like, kind of chill beats. So I'm gonna do something that's probably gonna make people upset with me in a second, but UK Garage I'll also put in the C. I haven't heard a ton of this. A lot of it's been pretty okay. Bro Step I'm gonna put in B. There's a lot of fucking trash ass music in this style, do not get me wrong, okay? And everybody thinks of that immediately. Don't get me wrong. Like, when it comes to the actual artists in this style, some of the worst music of all time is Bro Step. I'm not trying to take away from that fact, but, like, in concept, I kind of love this shit. So, like, the best of this style I actually really enjoy. And then at least it has so much influence on EDM music that I like to listen to. I kind of have to respect it for that. I feel like I'm a Bro Step respecter, in a way. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of horrible Bro Step. I just, I honestly respect it. Nueva Canción, I've never listened to this. Death Rock, I've never listened to. Punk Blues, I have no opinion on. Japanese Hardcore, I haven't listened to enough. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I haven't listened to enough. Doom Metal, I haven't listened to enough. I'm not gonna put, I've heard of this, I don't know what it is, though. Hypnagogic Pop, I haven't listened to enough. Hypnagogic Ambient, I haven't listened to enough. Bird Song, I mean, I like birds. Noise music, I'm going to put in the B tier. I think it's a fascinating concept you can do a lot with. Indeterminacy is another fascinating concept. I'll put it in C. I just know it for, like, John Cage, and I think John Cage is a huge inspiration. Alternative R&B, I will put in the A tier, from what I have heard. What an amazing genre that I would love to get into more. A genre that could even move into S tier for me, but there's definitely been some alternative R&B that hasn't blown me away like that. I don't know. That could go into S. We have EBM. I have no opinion on this. We have trance, which I will put in the C. I think trance varies around whether it's good or bad. It's very middling overall. Like, there's some great trance out there. There's a lot of terrible trance out there, too. It's one of these styles that I don't know if I can pin down whether I like it or not. Bubblegum Bass, I'm going to put in the B tier. I think that this is pre-hyperpop, and this is the sound I tend to prefer. Of course, you have Sophie in this style, who's a fucking icon. Rest in peace. Pop punk. Pop punk I'm going to put in B tier as well. There's a terrible amount of awful pop punk, but in concept, I really like the idea of this. It's more what I would want to hear from punk. Pop punk with, like, a pop sensibility. Of course, you have, like, Green Day. There's a lot of bad music in this style, though. I couldn't justify going any higher than B. Ritual Ambient, I have no opinion on. Tribal Ambient, no opinion on. Emo, I will put in... I would have to listen to more of it to put it in A, so I'll put it in B, but I do like it a lot. I would consider putting it in A. I just haven't listened to enough emo, I guess. No, you know what? Fuck it, I'll put it in A. I think emo's fucking cool. Whenever I listen to it, I think it's great, so I'll put it in A. We have Midwest emo, which I'll put in the B, actually. Maybe even the C. I'll put it actually in the C. I've heard stuff from this that I find to be a lot less interesting than emo is generally. But I think it's cool in concept. Emo pop, I would put in the B. I think that this is kind of like the middle ground. I think that emo pop can be really good. You have, like, My Chemical Romance. You have a lot of other artists who are cool. I mean, it's a cool style, blending emo with pop punk. But that's about my opinion on that. Okay, so I've finished this. I guess this is a duplicate. How do I feel about this? I feel like Not the most confident I've ever been at the end of a tier list, but I think that this is fine. I think I'm gonna just leave it the way that it is. I'm gonna just leave it the way that it is. I think this is okay, right? My S tier feels right to me. This is my favorite music, I think. The only one that could potentially go down would be Soul, just because, like, in terms of the sheer number of some of my favorite albums or stuff like that, this doesn't necessarily rank up like the other ones here do. But this genre is S tier. This has easily become one of my favorite genres. So I think it's justified being here with the stuff. So yeah, that's my takes on genres. Some of you would disagree, and there's a lot of people around me who are super into stuff like Plunderphonics or Vaporwave or Cloud Rap or whatever else, Memphis Rap or whatever else, Trip Hop. Not my stuff. Not my stuff. So, all right, cool. So now we're going to do this. I'm going to be fast. We're going to do this pretty quickly because there's so much here, and that last one took longer than I expected. So I'll give very brief thoughts, whoever we're looking at. For this, these are all rock bands, I guess, rock artists. If I've heard any of their stuff, I'm going to rank them. There's a chance I haven't heard enough. If I've heard any of it, I will rank them, okay? Unless I just really feel like I cannot do that. We have Nickelback, obviously, that's F tier. We have David Bowie. I would say David Bowie's an A or S. I'll put him in A for now. Is this Bob Dylan? That's Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's S tier. No, David Bowie's S tier. We have Chuck Berry, who's definitely A tier. I don't know what this is. We have Alice in Chains. I would put them in the C tier. I don't know Hardest. 311. I haven't listened to, actually. I don't think I've ever heard a 311 track. We have Supertramp. I think they're okay for what I've heard. We have Accept, I don't know. Linkin Park, I would put in the E tier. We have A Perfect Circle, I would put A Perfect Circle. I haven't listened to any. Imagine Dragons obviously is F tier. Santana, I don't have an opinion on. Fleetwood Mac is A tier. Though they have such a varied career, it's kind of hard to put them in S. We have Living Color, which I would put in B tier. I've enjoyed some of their tracks. We have Rainbow, which I don't have any opinion on. What is this? Does anybody know this band? I don't recognize. Do I know this band? I don't recognize these members. We have the White Stripes. I would put the White Stripes in the B tier. We have whatever the fuck this is. I can't even read that. Stone Sour, E tier. I've heard a little bit of that. Van Halen will go in the E tier. We have Queensryche, which I've never actually heard. Rage Against the Machine will go in the B. Fugazi will go in the B. Iggy and the Stooges will go in the B. Traveling Wilburys, I don't have an opinion on. Soundgarden will go in the A for me, probably. The Police would go... Wait, is it Jethro Tull? Look up Jethro Tull and see if you can find this picture of Jethro Tull, and if you can, then... The Police I will put in the... probably the D tier. Queens of the Stone Age I would put in the fucking S tier. Black Flag I would put in the D tier. Allman Brothers Band I would put... Well, actually, Black Flag I probably put in the... No, D tier. Allman Brothers Band, I wish I could have an opinion on that and put them low because it just would be funny. We have Hole, which I would put in the C tier. We have Coldplay, which I would put in the C tier. We have Opeth, which I would put in the B tier from what I've heard. What is this? Who is this? I cannot even tell. The Doors I would put in the B tier. Genesis I would put in the S tier. Is this Ted? Wait, this is Ted Nugent. Is that Ted Nugent? That's Ted Nugent, right? Help me out, right? Trivium I have no opinion on. Roxy Music I have no opinion on. I don't even know what this is. Who is that? I don't know. I don't know what the Dragon Force I would put in the E tier, but I like Through the Fire and Flames. Radiohead, of course, is S tier. Bad Religion will go in the C tier. Bon Jovi will go in the F tier. Anthrax will go in the C tier. Seether, I don't have an opinion on. Exodus, I don't know. Boston will go in the C tier because I like their first album actually quite a lot, but everything else they ever did is pretty terrible. We have Nine Inch Nails. Oh, no, I like Boston. I can't lie. Next up, we have Nine Inch Nails. I would put Nine Inch Nails in the B tier. We have the Kooks. I don't even... Okay. We have the Ramones, which I would put in the C tier. We have Evanescence, which I would put in the D tier. We have the Animals, which I would put in the C tier. We have the Beach Boys, which I would put in the B tier. Yeah, we have what, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know who these artists are. I can't tell. If I know these bands, I guess sucks. I just don't recognize the pictures. I don't know what is this? Oh, Rollins band? I don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Deep Purple I would put in the C tier. Blur I would put, as of right now, in the C tier. Fall Out Boy in the D tier. Midnight Oil, no opinion. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. Children, I don't know who this is. One of those bands is Cannibal Corpse. Okay, well, I haven't listened to any. The Eagles I would put in the E tier. Rat I would put in the... I've only heard one song. It's honestly one of the better hair metal songs, so I'll put them in D. The Clash I would put in the A tier. Well, no, I put them in the B. Overall. No, I'd put them in the A. Misfits I'll put in the B. Ozzy Osbourne I'll put in the C. Frank Zappa I will put in the B. Creed I will put in the F. No, I'll put them in the E. No, they're in the F. Husker Du I've never listened to, actually. Slayer I will put in the B. Uriah Heep I don't have an opinion on. REM I'll put in the C. Aerosmith I will put in the E. Papa Roach I will put in the F. Beastie Boys will go in the B tier. Maybe the A I could even justify. I don't know what this is. Then we have NoFX, who I would put in the D tier. Bad Brains, I'm sorry, I'd put them in the D tier. Stone Temple Pilots I would put in the C overall. White Zombie I would put, I don't know. Dream Theater goes in E. What is this? I don't know. Shinedown, no opinion. Who the fuck? Is that Yardbirds? Okay, I don't know. Green Day goes in the A tier, if not the S tier. Ugh, fuck. I guess Genesis has to go in A tier, right? Because they have too many shitty albums. No, they go in the S tier. Nirvana goes in the Nirvana goes in the S tier. The Cult, I listened to their self-titled for no fucking reason. I don't have any opinion on them, I guess, but I'll put them in C. Fish goes in C from what I've heard. Spinal Tap, I don't even know what I'm supposed to say about that. Velvet Underground goes in the... probably the A tier. Maybe the S tier. Let's think about that. The Who would go in the B tier. Smashing Pumpkins would go in the A tier. Akron, no opinion. Tears for Fears I would put in the B. Dave Matthews Band goes in the E. Rush goes in the B. Skillet goes in the F. Thin Lizzy goes in the E. I don't know what this is. It's a fleur-de-lis for some reason. Iron Maiden, from what I've heard, I'd probably put in the C. Camel, I've never heard. I don't know what this is. Red Hot Chili Peppers will go in the C. I don't know what this is either. Depeche Mode, no opinion. The Kinks will go in the B. Oh, did I put them? Yeah. Descendants will go in the B. I don't know what this is. Offspring will go in the B. Testament will go in the this. Kiss will go in the F. Bad Company will go in the F. Ween will go in the B, I guess. Motorhead. Motorhead I'll put in C. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. Journey will go in the E. I don't know what this is. The Cure will go in the B. Weezer will go in the C. Pantera will go in the D. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Styx will go in the D. This I don't know. Audioslave, don't know. Ghost will go in the C from what I've heard. Sum 41 will go in the E. Disturbed will go in the F. Moody Blues will go. I'll put them in B for now. I haven't really listened to much of them. Leonard Skinnerd, that's getting the E. The Black Keys will get the D. Then we have Dead Kennedys, which will get a B tier. We have Steppenwolf, I have no opinion. Cardiacs, honestly, from what I've heard, I had no opinion. Creedence Clearwater Revival, I'll put in the B. Europe, I will put in the E. Don't know what the fuck this is. Dio, haven't listened to really any. Gentle Giant, I haven't listened to any. Don't know who this is. That Jefferson Airplane? I haven't listened to enough. Rolling Stones will go in the B, I guess. Yeah, in the B. Mudvayne, no opinion. Yes, Leonard Skinner wrote Freebird, which is why I didn't put them in F, but I would have put them in F for any other reason. Foo Fighters, I will put in the C tier overall. Avenged Sevenfold, I will put in the C. I don't know what to put about that. The Smiths, we're gonna go with a B. Don't have an opinion, don't know what that is. Faith No More will go in the B. Live will go in the D. Dire Straits will go in the D. ZZ Top will go in the E. UFO I've never listened to. Sex Pistols will go in the B. Wait, is this 3 Days Grace? That's E, if not F. White Snake will go in the E. Metallica will go in the C. Well, they should probably go in the B. Kansas will go in the D. Alice Cooper will go in the D from what I've heard, to be honest. Don't have any opinion on this. Blink 182 will go in the D. Def Leppard will go in the E. Gojira, no opinion on. Halloween, no opinion. Bush will go in the E. The Beatles goes in S, obviously. Meatloaf will go in B, I guess. The Band, I have no opinion on. This, I have no opinion on. This, I have no opinion on. Slipknot will go in the D. Heart will go in the B, honestly. Then we have Simon and Garfunkel, which I'll put in the B. I don't know how they're a rock band, really. I have no opinion on this. My Bloody Valentine will go in the B. Sublime goes in the D. Blondie will go in the B. Meshuggah, no opinion. Zebra, no opinion. Breaking Benjamin will go in the E. ELO will go in the C, from what I've heard. This I have no opinion on. Actually, ELO probably put in the B. Mastodon, I would put in C. Arctic Monkeys, I would put in B. Is this Rise Against? I think this is Rise Against. If this is Rise Against, I'm putting them in D. After Alter Bridge goes in the E. Cheap Trick goes in the C. The Guess Who, I don't know. U2 will go in D. Manowar will go here. MGMT I would probably put in... I haven't listened to enough. I'm not going to put them anywhere. This I have no opinion. This I don't even know what that is. Jethro Tull will go in the B. Korn will go in the E. Incubus I have no opinion on. Overkill, don't know. Stone Roses, no opinion. T-Rex will go in the C. AC/DC will go in the D. We have My Chemical Romance, which I'll put in the B. We have Megadeth, which I will put in the C. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Joy Division, I'll put in A. Foreigner will go in the E. Marilyn Manson will go in the C. Tool will go in the C. Theory of a Dead Man will go in the F. Primus, I would probably put in C. Melvins, I would put in B. Deftones, I would put in B. Queen, I would put in B. ELP, I would put in D. Black Sabbath, I would put in C. What is this? I don't know. I can't read that. I don't know what this is. Judas Priest, the C, I guess. Guns N' Roses will go in the E. Talking Heads will go in the B. Cream will go in the C. Muse will go in the D. Mr. Bungle will go in the B. This I have no opinion on. Porcupine Tree, no opinion. System of a Down will go in the B. Caius will go nowhere because I've never listened to them. Death will go in the A. Gorillaz will go in C, I think. Don't know what this is. Poison goes in the F. Quiet Riot, I don't know. Blue Oyster Cult, probably C for now. But they have some great songs. Nightwish, I would put, haven't listened to them yet, but I'm going to. Pearl Jam, I would put in the B. Jimi Hendrix, I would put in the probably the B, but I mean, shit. No, probably no A for Jimi Hendrix. Bruce Springsteen, I would put in the A. Oasis, I would put in the E. Dropkick Murphys, I would put, I don't know. A Day to Remember, I don't know. Led Zeppelin goes in the S tier. What is this? Duran Duran, I would put them in the C. Then we have whatever the fuck that is, I don't know. Mountain, I don't know. Pixies go in S. Franz Ferdinand will go in the C. Don't know anything about this. Don't know anything about this. Scorpions go in the F. Japan goes in the, I don't know, I guess. Nah, Scorpions probably go in E. Chicago will go in E, even though they have like 25 or 6 to 4, which is an awesome ass song, but all their other shit fucking sucks. Train will go in E. Machine Head will, I don't even know. Is this Five Finger Death Punch? They're F. Grateful Dead I would put in the D. King Crimson will go in the A. What is this? I don't fucking know. Oh, Bullet for My Valentine? Yeah, I don't know. NXS, I've only heard like one song. Dinosaur Jr., haven't heard enough. Jane's Addiction, I would put in the B. Sonic Youth, I would put in the B. And MC5, I have no opinion on. There, rock band's tier list. What do we think? Should I move some of these around? I probably should. Like, oh, typo negative? Oh, this is typo negative? Yeah, I have no opinion on that. I think this is probably fine. I might have put a few things a little too low, but that's just how it is. I think this is probably fine. Why do we have Chuck Berry but not like Little Richard or not even Elvis or anything? It's weird. Anyway, this is my rock band's tier list. Pretty goofy. I was gonna do this, but now I'm not because I need to go to the grocery store. So we're not doing that. Well, yeah, I kind of have to finish up here, folks. Once again, hey, this week you can expect like a 4-hour video to go to the channel. It's going to be really cool, okay? I'm going to work on that and get it out for you. Epic Rocker ranks every rock band ever. Hell yeah. I don't know. Ted Nugent. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. But I'm going to be pretty much heading out now because, yeah, I have things I actually have to go do. Vlog at the grocery store? No, thanks. Anyway, thanks for watching, though. Seriously, thanks for watching. And I'll be back next week. Okay? All right. Thank you. S tier for Dawn Rising. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. All right, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching these funny tier lists.